We now know why space and time connected, that this connection led to expansion of space as time passes from smallest possible point as nothing required it to be bigger, and this expansion led to creation of pure energy, which turned into a matter. We also know that time exists because lack of future ahead, whether there is present moment or not, is a nonsense. It happens to have nothing to do with where does it come from. Same like that, it wouldn't make sense, there will be no current moment. And space is where time exists. Everything needs to be located to exist. And we know the reason. Why are we here? To create more energy as space expands. There are many things we can learn from scientists and people who are on autism spectrum and think visually. But we didn't know the following. That there are forces independent of science, and that understanding how supernatural is possible is only the first step on a long way to defeat them. As any planet prepares to harbor life, as given such powers by space-time, it predicts that one day it will evolve into intelligent one, which knows, thanks to common sense, the difference between good and evil, and that love is the most important part of life. The planet tries to make it happy so that it will multiply, thus origin of forces in Earth that are independent of science. But human fear of what it doesn't understand creates evil magic and an infinite possibilities of evil cultures associated with it, as well as many other things in the supernatural world that are beyond our knowledge. This fear really does create rich folklore throughout every single universe. The following is an explanation. How do I know all this? And how do I know that we have to respect also what we do not understand? I'm a Polish immigrant living in US. Together with my recently deceased friend Steve, who left behind wife, 4 daughters and 4 sons, I worked in the forestry. We volunteered in Burkittsville, Fort Blair in Maryland, to track down together with local police lost police dogs in Black Hills woods. They were looking with police for an illegal firearms dealer, and he was caught by an FBI agent and one high-ranking police officer. The dogs were all soon found alive and well. Together with Steve, we were invited to celebrate this in a local pub with 12 local cops and the superintendent. The next day, the superintendent went to see his family in New York City. Steve and I were supposed to leave Burkittsville within few days, but late evening of a day after superintendent went to see his family in New York, I received call from Steve begging for help. I told him I would get the cops to find him. He said, okay, but be quick. Me and 6 police officers went looking for him in the woods, while the other 6 stayed in the police station. One of the police officers was holding infrared camera and took it with him just in case. We found Steve dead, and as we did, we heard 2 voices yelling for help. And this is what the mentioned officer filmed with the camera. These two children quickly hid behind the tree log seen here. These children, boy and girl, were from two different families that went camping together in the woods and got lost. They later told us that Slender Man and what seemed to be Blair Witch were fighting over victims when Steve got killed by what seemed to be that witch. Steve was the only victim, as it was just three of them in the woods, they also told me. It is unclear whether what was seen in the second found film and whether what we seen was that witch. If it was the same thing, and even if this is what the gentleman fought with, or was it just coincidence that it was there? The children were too traumatized to remember anything later. Later, Steve's ghost told us about Earth's forces that are independent of science. How is that possible? And finally, that if we won't respect what we don't understand, we will empower evil supernatural creatures and people who possess evil powers like witches. Slenderman was created through the fear of people who look different due to disabilities. He turned out to be a forgotten Celtic creature that originated in the British Isles, and his story was brought to colonial US in the 17th century, then from US to Denmark through a rich family that went from Denmark to visit its relatives in colonial America. The big family befriended there an Irishman who introduced them to pagan Celtic beliefs. He also introduced those beliefs to some ancestors of modern Americans. Anyway, later we heard this. Then this. Steve's killer won, but lost control over Steve's soul, who turned out could break free from its power thanks to his courage. That's all Steve told us as we had to run. Well, also that his soul is on a quest throughout every single universe to find out what's at the heart of the folklore of each culture associated with evil. Me, the two children, and all the police officers safely made it out of the woods. The children were later reunited with their families. Thank you for watching.